Tuesday.
And y'all know we have nothing but bad cheering coming through here on Wednesday.
But stick with us. On Thursday, we travel.
That's right. And Friday's Free Your Mind Friday, so get your brass up.
Something on your mind? Want to get it off your chest?
Holla at your people. WBOK 1230 AM, the station you listen to
all day long.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Saints of God, it's time for us to tell you the truth. It's time for you to start your 21-day challenge. Don't take another day. Do it right now. Call 504-701-4711. That's the Whole Water Stove, Pastor David Impartian Sr., the host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. This is the water that's designed to change your body, the way you think, the way you act, and the way you look. Why don't you start your 21-day challenge today? For $35, you can start it right now. Call me so we can set up your appointment. 504-701-4711. That's 504-701-4711. Change your water, change your mind.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. This is your community radio station. You're hearing our voices, and as always, we would love to hear yours. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Once again, for those in the back, 504-582-9422. All right. You think they got it, Eddie?
I think they got it, my brother.
Okay.
I think we'll get some calls
all
now.
All right. Very good. Very good. All right. We're going to jump into conversation with the one, the only, the phenomenal Sarah Lomax. I told you a little bit about her before the break, and we are going to welcome her and get on into it. We're going to be talking about a number of things, but including black media and black folks in digital spaces, and maybe check in a little bit to see what's happening in Philadelphia. Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing fine. How are you?
Fabulous. In with me is co-host Chief Eddie Compass. Chief Compass was the man on duty 20 years ago when Katrina hit our city and the Gulf Coast. So just to give you just a little brief connection on who Chief Compass is, he means a lot to us here in New Orleans. And you mean a lot to folks in Philadelphia. And one of the things that we do here at WBOK is we ask people how your mama and them.
Yeah, buddy.
And we ask people who your mama and them. And that's our way of asking. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, I'm really grateful to be on with you, and it's nice to meet you, Chief. I am born and raised Philadelphian. I come from a family that has been deeply invested in building and supporting Black institutions in the city of Philadelphia, whether it's supporting cultural institutions and healthcare institutions. My father was a physician. He purchased WURD, the Black Talk radio station that's just kind of a sister station to WBOK in Philadelphia, but he purchased WURD in 2003. And so we're about 22 years old, and I've been running the station since 2010. And it's been a real fascinating journey, taking it from kind of a standalone, low power AM, kind of low performing from a business standpoint, radio station to now we have evolved into multi-platform, multimedia. We're AM and FM, we're digital, we're very much in social, we do video, we do tons of events. So we're like a very kind of multimedia enterprise now, and we are very much in the mix for, like, Philadelphia is going to be the center of what is known as the semi-quincentennial, the 250th birthday of the nation, which happens in July 2026. So we are doing lots of things to make sure that the Black presence in this nation's history is captured, especially in the city of Philadelphia from 1776 all the way to now, because as we all know, there's a lot of erasure and, intentional dismantling of Black history. And we're experiencing that very viscerally in Philadelphia right now, where they're trying to remove the names of 9 enslaved Africans who were held by George Washington in Philadelphia, which was a fight that we had many years ago to make sure that when this monument on federal parklands was erected to celebrate George Washington, that this part of his history was captured and represented to show that he was, in fact, a slaveholder. And so now that monument is in the crosshairs in Donald Trump's effort to erase kind of the negative aspects of American history, so to speak. And so we're fighting on a lot of different fronts in Philly around our historical preservation, but also, our economic empowerment for the Black community, because we are the poorest big city in the nation as well. And it's a very Black city. We're over 40% Black, so we're the predominant racial and ethnic group in the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, and that's just horrendous to hear at something that is so clearly a part of history that people just want to remove it and pretend like it didn't happen. I am one Black man, but I am a whole human, and there are different aspects, and some of the things about me maybe aren't the best, but it's a part of who I am. It's part of my history. It's a part of my being, and I hope that overall I come out on top in people's eyes and in the Lord's eyes. But I don't want to just pretend that I didn't have this rough time at a certain point in my life. That kind of thing is just remarkable. We've had our own monument issues here in New Orleans, but we're here with you from Philadelphia to talk about what's happening. One more thing before we switch into the digital spaces. Are you all seeing any indications of the National Guard coming into Philadelphia, or have the mayor and local officials responded in a way that if you try this or anything like that?
So, obviously there's conversation. We know that all of kind of the predominantly Black, big blue cities are in the crosshairs and are on Donald Trump's radar. So, yes, there is absolutely awareness about it. There is not, to my knowledge, any direct, we know that Chicago is higher on the list and it's more imminent in terms of the conversations around the National Guard being deployed in Chicago. We are not hearing those kinds of imminent conversations in in Philadelphia. However, we have a Black woman who's our mayor, Mayor Sherelle Parker.
Yep.
We have a Black man who's the president of City Council, Kenyatta Johnson. There's a lot of Black political leadership in Philadelphia, both at the city level and at the state level. But the person who is the most outspoken and is really, I feel, our best firewall is our district attorney. And his name is Larry Krasner. Mm-hmm. And he has been incredibly vocal, strident, very outspoken about the fact that if the National Guard is deployed to Philadelphia, they will have to kind of come through him in order to, make that happen, because he's going to sue. He said he will use every thing at his disposal to deter that. So he's gone on national news. He is very outspoken in a way that nobody else in the political class in Philadelphia is as has been as vocal as he has, and he's somebody that the Republican Party, because the state of Pennsylvania it's kind of one of the houses is one of the branches is controlled by the Republicans, and they have made efforts to neuter his authority, to overturn his election, but he has repeatedly been elected by the people of Philadelphia because he's a very progressive district attorney who has decriminalized marijuana. He's just done things that have made life and the charging and things like that. He's gotten a lot of Black folks out of jail because of prosecutorial misconduct in previous administrations, and so he has really been a leader in the criminal justice space that has really endeared him to the Black community in particular in Philadelphia, and he's really leading the resistance, I would say, to any kind of intervention in Philadelphia.
And to make it clear for folks who are listening, he is a white man who the Black community in Philadelphia has embraced in a really big way. Even when he came under attacks, people came out strong for him and say, "You're not going to mess with our guy." Is that a fair?
Absolutely, and because he walks the walk, he shows up at the things that are important for the Black community. He doesn't waffle. It's not like he says one thing when he's in a room full of white people and another thing when he's in a room full of Black people. He is consistent. He is, he's just a very staunch advocate for the rights of people who have been disenfranchised by the system. And he recognizes that it's systemic what has happened in Philadelphia, particularly to the Black community in terms of the criminal justice system. And so he is putting systemic solutions in place to address those things.
Right. So you are in New Orleans, and it was really good to see you last night. Met Sarah when she was a college student or just out of college?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
Long time ago. Yep.
Yep. And so proud of you, and happy for all of the success that you have had. But the greater happiness is that I've watched you grow and develop, and the impact that you've had on Philadelphia in particular and across the nation, which people may not realize. So you are in town for the Online News Association. Just mention that briefly, and let's talk about Black media and Black folks in digital spaces.
Sure. Yeah. I'm so happy to be here. I haven't been in New Orleans in a long time, and it's an amazing city. So I'm grateful that the Online News Association is doing its annual conference here. Online News Association, it's a huge journalism organization that really centers the digital space, which is now kind of the center of media and media delivery. And so it's you cannot be in the media right now without having some type of digital transformation, digital first efforts. I don't care whether you're radio or television or whatever, everyone has to be in the social media space and on the digital space. And so the Online News Association really, it really spans a very broad swath of the journalism community, because it's not just kind of technology. It's not just people who are operating exclusively in the digital space. It's really all of us who are have these intersecting ways of delivering our information. And so, it's always kind of like, and I know you probably feel the same way, it's kind of like a homecoming. When you've been in this industry a long time, you come to these conferences and you see people from all the different phases of your career, of your life. And it's an opportunity to see how other newsrooms are approaching things like AI and new trends in the media industry and innovation. And one of the things that's interesting to me is that kind of this idea of what's old is new again, because everybody and AI is absolutely at the center of a lot of discussions here, and how AI is transforming media, how it's co-opting media in some ways, how figuring out ways to utilize AI versus having it overtake what we're doing, and having these firewalls to assess what's true, what's real. The technology is so sophisticated now that it can mimic voices, it can mimic visual, like video. You can manipulate so many things that we have to have ways in the journalism industry to make sure that there is accuracy and truth, and and so I think that journalism is having to redefine how we do our work in the wake of all of this sophisticated technology that can lead to massive misinformation and disinformation. And one of the reasons I think that the country is in such a tangle, such a tizzy right now, is because it's such a kind of wild, wild west now in terms of information. And while that democratizes access to information, it also can really create silos. It can create echo chambers, and it can create spaces where misinformation and disinformation just proliferates.
Chief Eddie has a question for you.
Yes, Sarah. With this AI thing and all this technology, what type of safeguards do you, at your station, do y'all put in place basically to stop information that's capricious, arbitrary, or garish from getting out there to the public?
That's a great question. One, we have a statement on our website in terms of like how we use AI, so that our audience is clear. Like these are our policies related to AI. We will never use AI in terms of replicating a voice. Any voice that you hear on WURD is a real person. Okay. It's not an AI, it's not a bot. And so we've kind of come up with some parameters. There's also, we have to, like you all, we have to vet the information that we get in a very comprehensive way before we repeat it or deliver it over the airwaves, because whether it's a caller who's calling in with something that may or may not be true, or even if we're looking at something on social media, because there's a lot of just inaccurate information. Whether it's like this morning, for instance, I'm looking at my social media feed, and it says that the person who killed Charlie, right, that they caught him, and
right.
I don't know if that's true or not. So with just because it's on social doesn't mean that it's correct. And so we have a process of making sure we vet it through at least 3 other sources before we share it on the air.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because after that happened, and as I watched that off and on as I was doing other things, I saw at least 3 different pictures of different men.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Saying this is the person.
Yep.
Man.
And 2 different names. And I'm like, well, all of this obviously cannot be true.
Right.
And from
Exactly.
seemingly reliable sources.
Right.
But the reliable source assumption is based on how many followers somebody has.
Exactly.
Not whether it's actually accurate or truthful, even at the time, because sometimes you get later information and things change. So, Sarah, I hope you can stay with us a bit longer. You got a little time or what?
Yeah, I can stay. I have a meeting at 8, but I can stay on for a few
All
more
right.
minutes.
All right. We're going to take a break real quick, and we'll get back talking with you. This is a great conversation about media, what's happened in Philadelphia. We can talk a bit more about Black folks in digital spaces, where we are and where we aren't, what we should be looking out for, and what we should do. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
The dry streak is here. Expect sunshine today all the way through the weekend, even into early next week. Highs today stay above average into the low to mid 90s, and with lower humidity, temperatures feeling very close to the actual temperature. So still hot, but it's a dry heat. And this again continues here on out. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
What's the future for New Orleans? Will city services ever function efficiently? Our people need answers, not slogans. That's why the Nonpartisan City Services Coalition has asked the candidates for mayor how they plan to fix city government. Want to know what they said? Go to cityservicescoalition.com to see for yourself. It's time for action, not excuses. The next step is yours.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
And welcome back. This is the Good Morning Show, WBOK 1230 AM. I am Will Sutton, and this is Eddie Compass sitting right here with me. Those of you who can see the Chief on Facebook Live, we know you're on AM radio, the internet, and Facebook. We're in conversation with Sarah Lomax, who is the head woman in charge, head person in charge of all things WURD radio in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania's only Black-owned talk radio station. And she also is the co-founder and president of the URL Media, which I hope we can touch on before we let you go, and so you can get to your meeting. So the talk line, folks, is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Sarah, we were talking about the digital spaces, how media has changed. Where are Black folks in this thing? And let's just start with ONA. Have you been to a number of ONAs, and are there a lot of Black people there? Some Black. Who are the Black people who are at ONA, and what kind of places do they work in the digital spaces?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to several ONA conferences. I mean, to be clear, ONA is one of the newer journalism associations. You're one of the founders of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, which was the precursor of the National Association of Black Journalists. So, there are these journalism associations that really are very legacy and predate ONA. But, with the advent of technology, again, the need for a space that kind of shows kind of the breadth of journalism and the evolution of journalism, I think, is what ONA represents in this digital world. I would say there's a decent amount of Black folks here, and they represent independent outlets like mine, WURD, and they represent, legacy media, Black folks who work at like the New York Times and mainstream media organizations. They represent folks who are, might be, I would say, solopreneurs. They might have a Substack, or they might have some type of newsletter that they are producing independently, and they're not necessarily a part of a newsroom, but they're still in this journalism space. So it's editors, it's owners, it's reporters. It's a broad swath of people, and I would say it's relatively diverse. I tend to go to the sessions that are about diversity and community media and diverse media, and so I might have a little bit of a skewed perspective, but one of the things that I think is interesting is that because there is such an assault on media right now, there's a lot of defunding. We see things being defunded for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. We see, the downsizing and the closing of a lot of local media organizations and rural media organizations. And, frankly, it's a very tough time for me in Philadelphia for Word right now because of the attacks on Black people and the attacks on the media. We're sitting right there at that intersection. But there are efforts to develop policy, like state and city policy actions that will help with like tax credits and mandate that a certain amount of state or local dollars have to be spent with local media or community media. And so there's a growing movement to try and figure out how media and journalism can be looked at as a almost like a utility, as like a public good. And so are there ways, because so many other revenue streams are drying up because of like the Facebooks and the Twitters or the X's and that have really robbed media organizations of a lot of advertising revenue. There's now a lot of conversations happening in certain states and in certain cities about how you implement and enact policies that provide funding and incentives for businesses to support local media. And that's happening. Like California is really a leader in that. New York has done some really amazing work on that front. New Jersey. So there's certain states that are pretty far along in that front.
So as far as consumers go, are Black folks showing up in digital spaces that you work in and that others work in? Are we where we should be, or is there great opportunities that we're missing at the moment, but if we know about them, we can jump in?
I mean, I think that what the digital space affords is kind of a low barrier to entry. You know, like whether it's, and I don't know if you would call podcasting digital, but you know, like you used to, like back in the day, Will, you know, there was like you had to be a part of a newsroom. You know, if you wanted to be a journalist, there were very prescribed spaces that you would have to go to in order to participate in this profession. Now, you know, you could get a microphone and plug it into your computer and do a podcast. So I think that has really broadened the range of voices, of information, of perspectives that we have access to, and I think that's a really great thing. What has been reduced is that there are fewer kind of checks and balances, and so a lot of times, like what we were talking about before, what's out there might not really be accurate or truthful or legitimate. And so so we have, as consumers, we have to be much more discerning. We have to really, you know, I always advocate a diversified media diet. So, you know, you listen to WBOK and you read, you know, a certain, you know, Verite, you have to have like multiple places where you get your information so that you have a balanced diet. That's the way I look at it. Even though I want people to only listen to WURD in Philadelphia, but you know, it's in the best interest of democracy and informed, you know, citizenry that we have a multiplicity of places that we get our information.
I know we're going to have to let you go. One more question, Chief Eddie Compass.
You know, when you look at the multifaceted divisions of what you do, what are you guys doing to assimilate and incorporate young people within this frame of reference? To keep it going, you have to have the foundation for young people. What are you doing exactly as an organization to assimilate and incorporate young people?
Yeah, that is like the $64,000 question that I think a lot of legacy media organizations struggle with. You know, talk radio inherently appeals to an older demographic.
Exactly.
So we've done focus groups with young people. We have we partner with organizations and cultural spaces that really cater to younger people or have a younger audience. We're very intentional about the events that we do. We know that we have to alter our programming in order to attract a younger demographic. But what we also struggle with is that we have such a loyal, devoted listening audience that we don't want to alienate them by, you know, creating something that doesn't necessarily resonate with their interests. So what we intend to do is build kind of a parallel platform that really is powered and produced and developed for and by young people. But that would not necessarily be on our terrestrial radio airwaves on WURD, but it would be in these digital spaces where young people consume media, because that's the other thing. Young people do not consume media the way we do. They are on social first. Right. They are, you know, in these other spaces. So, you know, you got to meet them where they are, and you have to have the content and the tone that appeals to them. All
right, URL Media, real quick, and we'll let you go.
Yes, URL Media. It stands for Uplift, Respect, and Love. And me and my co-founder, Mitra Kalita, we launched URL Media in 2021 in the aftermath of George Floyd's murder and the racial justice protests. And we recognized that there were a lot of Black and brown media organizations that had been in existence for a really long time, had been doing great work, had audience, had, great content, but did not have the resources to really elevate and maximize what they do. And so we developed a network of high-performing Black and brown media organizations. WURD and Mitra's media company, Epicenter, were the two inaugural members. We started with 8 media organizations. It represents Black, Latino, Native American, Asian American, South Asian, and immigrant media outlets that serve those communities. We're now at 35 media organizations across the country, and we share content and distribution and revenue.
Stuff like that.
What's that?
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a good thing. So I'm very proud of that work.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I know we kept you a bit longer than we had discussed. I'm glad you had a little flexibility. We're going to wrap this up. We thank you so much for being on WBOK's Good Morning Show and enlightening us with your knowledge and your background, your experience, and giving us a good sense of what's happening in Philadelphia and digital spaces. Very enriching conversation for our WBOK listeners today. It was wonderful seeing you last night. I hope I see you again before you get out of town, but well, I'll try to make it happen.
I hope so. Okay, great. Thank you. It's been wonderful talking to you both.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
All right. This is WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans. Join New Schools for New Orleans, All-State Sugar Bowl, and Entergy New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 4th annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. The gala will take place Saturday, November 1st at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. This year's gala will feature New Orleans legend DJ Jubilee. Don't miss out on this intimate celebration supporting our New Orleans public school teachers. Tickets can be purchased on our website, newschoolsforneworleans.org.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries warned Republicans they'll regret reopening the January 6th probe.
Donald Trump and House Republicans are now determined to whitewash that day that will always live in infamy.
Jeffries tapped Eric Swalwell to lead Democrats on the new subcommittee, joined by Jasmine Crockett and Jared Moskowitz. The black man seen in a viral Jacksonville, Florida traffic stop video is suing the city and the arresting officer. Will McNeil Jr.'s lawyers also want a DOJ investigation after video showed him punched and dragged from his car during the February stop. And Joe Budden is on a potential witness list in Megan Thee Stallion's upcoming defamation trial. Blogger Milagro Grams faces claims she spread false stories during Tory Lanez 2022 case. The trial begins November 17th. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning. Wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, we're sorry that you missed such a wonderful conversation with Sarah Lomax, the owner and operator of WURD in Philadelphia, state of Pennsylvania's only Black-owned and operated radio station, and the co-founder of URL Media, which is a fascinating media organization. It's a coalition. Look them up when you get a moment. And at this point, we're going to talk about something very important. We're going to talk about your health. This is Will Sutton. For those of you who don't know, you're like, who is this person talking? And this person talking is
Chief Eddie Compass.
All right. So we're the two main voices that you're hearing this morning on the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK. But we've got somebody else with us today, and we're going to introduce, I'm going to let you introduce the good doctor, because I think that's a more appropriate connection. And we're going to talk about flu, COVID vaccines, and your health.
Well, it's a privilege and honor to introduce Dr. Chapatow, because let me tell you, he is not just one of the most brilliant people I've ever been around in my life. He is so giving and caring to the community, and he's a St. Augustine graduate, and he's my doctor, and he's someone has been very important in my life, because that's why everybody said I'm in such good shape, because Dr. Chapatow takes care of me, and we're very lucky and fortunate as a community to have a man of his skill set that's so giving, so loving, and such a knowledgeable person in our presence. So, Dr. Chapatow, thank you so much for all you've done for me and for our community.
All right. Well, welcome.
Thank you very much for that very kind introduction. This morning we are going to talk about vaccines. Number one, why do we even need to have them? Number two, the history of vaccines in America is fascinating. The first vaccine given in the United States of America occurred in 1798. So people have been getting vaccines for over 250 years, okay? Edward Jenner first used cowpox virus, dead, to inoculate individuals for smallpox, okay? And he found that the people that he inoculated either did not get it or had a very, very mild case of it. Okay? Vaccines work. The principle behind vaccines is that you generally give a dead strain of the virus, and basically your body builds up antibodies so that in the future it recognizes the virus and can contain it so that the person does not become ill. Now, again, over 250 years, we have been inoculating individuals. We have wiped out smallpox. We have wiped out polio. We have wiped out measles, except in the last few months, with vaccines being optional, you have kids who are dying from measles in the state of Texas now, okay? Viruses, in general, want to replicate to survive. That's part of the reason that we're still continuing to have a problem with COVID these days, okay? The latest form of COVID is a descendant of the Omicron virus, which first appeared in this country in, say, late 2021. Right now, the three most common strains are the XBF strain, the NHB181 strain, and I believe the N3HB2 strain. The bottom line, though, is that the current vaccinations that we have work on these strains because they work on say, the older Omicron strain, okay? Now, with the political climate that we have, accessing vaccines is now getting harder. I spoke to a pharmacist yesterday at Walgreens, and she was telling me that the company policy for the state of Louisiana, because they did not opt into the CDC guidelines, was for everyone to need a prescription now to get a COVID vaccine. According to the CDC, basically, if you are over the age of 65, or if you are immunocompromised, and by that I'm talking about if you have asthma, if you have COPD, if you have diabetes, if you have had a cancer, if you have had a transplant, heart transplant, a kidney transplant, etc., you are considered immunocompromised. And
what about obesity?
Obesity is also a factor too. Yes, okay. Yes, okay. So, unfortunately, the access is a bit harder this year than in previous years, but I would strongly advise everyone, and especially our more vulnerable populations, such as the diabetics, such as the morbidly obese, asthma, COPD, etc., to contact their doctor to get a script to get both a COVID and a flu vaccine. Also, too, pregnant women need to have both of the shots, COVID and flu.
I went in for my flu shot and to get my COVID shot recently, and they told me that the actual COVID shot that's the most recent was not available. So I got the flu shot, and they told me to come back to get the COVID shot. Now,
Correct.
You're telling me that I need a prescription to get that COVID shot? 'Cause this was just like
all
just
depending
last week.
upon where you go.
It was Walgreens.
Walgreens, that is the information that I was told. Yes, you will need to get a script from an MD. I was told all ages because Louisiana did not opt into the CDC guidelines.
Well, that must have just changed. I'm talking about like last week. I got the flu shot, and I was
Yeah.
trying to get the COVID shot, but they didn't have the up-to-date one, so they told me to wait. So
Mhm.
now I have to come see you to get the
Yes, okay.
vaccine.
The new up-to-date COVID shot is now in the stores. So,
So it's
you'll just need
available.
it.
So it's now
yeah,
available.
it is available.
More readily available, but you still have to get
the prescription.
That is the information that I was given, yes.
Okay. Well, okay. That's good information. See, just right off the presses.
Yeah.
Right off the presses.
Yeah. So, give us the context of federal and state policy changes that
Okay.
are getting us to this point, because obviously elections have consequences, but one of the consequences that we have not previously anticipated is that something as important as public health would continue in the ways that we've been used to over the decades, regardless of who was president. But that seems to be changing, and so I'm really curious your perspective on federal and state policy these days, leading to something like this.
Okay. At the end of the day, the bottom line is, do you believe in science or not? Okay. And unfortunately, with the current political climate that we have, many of our leaders do not believe in science. What they're doing is attempting to make everything, quote, optional. But that's not helping vulnerable populations, such as the elderly, such as the immunocompromised, such as pregnant women, okay? Or basically anyone who basically does not have regular access to health care. The political climate is making it harder for them to get the needed vaccines on things. Interestingly enough, the drug manufacturers plan on making about the same number. For example, they are planning on making at least 154 million doses of the COVID vaccine for the United States for, 2025 or 2026. So the supply will be there. The only thing is that there are now some roadblocks in terms of the access.
So we'll have the supply, we'll have the demand, but there's a step now that slows down whether those demanding it can say, I want it, I need it now.
Right.
Oh, go back in a couple of steps.
Right. Okay. Now, just yesterday, I got 9 requests at my office to write out scripts or say call-in scripts for COVID shots. Okay. If you look at the CDC guidelines, if you look at the American Academy of Pediatrics, in other words, the experts in the field, the recommendations of state and those experts are not the same. So basically, what I would advise all of the people who listen on this program is to contact your doctor, get the shots. COVID is alive and well. Over about the last week, just me, I've treated approximately, I called in about 11 prescriptions for Paxlovid.
Oh, so these are people with COVID.
These are people with COVID here in town. Now, one of the key indicators to tell if an epidemic is, say, about to occur is to analyze wastewater. Okay? The highest levels of COVID being present in wastewater is occurring in Texas, it's occurring in Florida, it's occurring in Utah, and I want to say one other state around here. No, Nevada, okay? Generally, once it reaches a critical value, you will have an epidemic within about 6 weeks. Yes, sir.
Under utilitarianism, wouldn't it be mandatory to get the vaccine in order to do the greater good as opposed to the few individuals who might be affected? Because that's how COVID actually became an epidemic, because individuals thought they had the option not to get the vaccine and they were spreading it around, and that's what actually caused the epidemic. So if we take the philosophy under utilitarianism, we should definitely have everybody getting the vaccine as rapidly as possible, don't you think?
You are absolutely correct, but many people do not think like that, especially many of our politicians.
So we caught again in the proverbial bureaucratic quagmire.
All right, so are cases of COVID going up in the New Orleans area or going down?
All right. The intense scrutiny in terms of reporting stopped about a year and a half ago. So I don't know the answer to that question. But as I said before, just based upon my small practice, I called in about 10 scripts within about the last week.
And compared to previous and recent weeks?
That was an increase, yes.
Wow.
Significant?
Significant, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, COVID had never gone away.
Right.
The question is, with new variants occurring, are we prone to an epidemic? Right. At one time, the New York Times had a table of all of the major cities and estates showing wastewater, hospitalizations, and deaths.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
They stopped that about a year and a half ago,
Wow.
too. So right now, the answer is, I don't know.
Wow. Well, that's puts us in a tough situation, and I hope everybody listened to you this morning and do what you need to do to get your COVID shot, because prevention is better than catching it and then having to go to the doc and get treatment for it, because then it's a matter of how long it's been in your body, how effective
Right.
the medicine can be.
Right. As a general rule, ideally, we would care to have the individual have symptoms 3 days or less before they start the treatment.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being with us this morning on the Good Morning Show. I hope everybody's heeding this advice and understand that some things have changed, but it's up to us individually to take care of ourselves and those that we love, those that we live with, those that we see and care about, talk to, make sure that they are doing the same thing. You got to take an extra step. Go ahead and take the extra step so that you can get protected from this COVID virus. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. It is 8:23. You've got somewhere to be at 8:30. You just might make it if it's a 5-minute ride and you're walking out the door. Otherwise, you might be looking at 8:45 or so. So we're going to wrap up this segment, and we're going to talk about the news and more things that you know and want to know and should know right after the break. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good morning and happy Thursday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. This morning, the search for the gunman who shot and killed political activist Charlie Kirk during an event in Utah continues. The FBI says 2 people who were detained yesterday have since been released. This as local reaction continues to pour in, including from Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise, who was shot during a congressional baseball game back in 2017. He tells WDSU this latest act of politically motivated violence makes him sad, angry, and heartbroken. Then here at home, Mayor LaToya Cantrell pleads not guilty to federal charges including conspiracy and wire fraud. Last month, she became the first sitting mayor to be federally indicted. Prosecutors accused Cantrell and her then bodyguard Jeffrey Vappie of having a personal relationship and hiding that relationship, even using taxpayer dollars to fund their time together. Vappie is also charged in the indictment. He will be arraigned tomorrow. And finally, today marks 24 years since the 9/11 terror attacks, and you can show your support for local first responders by donating blood outside WDSU for the annual Battle of the Badges event. You can stop by until 3 p.m. to donate blood and show your support. And if you live on the North Shore, Crossgates Gym in Slidell is inviting you to climb stairs alongside firefighters. For every flight that's climbed, the gym will donate 50 cents directly to the Slidell Fire Department. And that is a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU. Have a great day.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
What's the future for New Orleans? Will city services ever function efficiently? Our people need answers, not slogans. That's why the Nonpartisan City Services Coalition has asked the candidates for mayor how they plan to fix city government. Want to know what they said? Go to cityservicescoalition.com to see for yourself. It's time for action, not excuses. The next step is yours.
Paid for by the City Services Coalition.
Okay, good. From Broad Community Connections, the executive director over there. And they are here to talk about another opportunity that you want to be aware of. And, I've been pitching this to you all. Don't just rely on the news. And I'm a news guy, okay? I work at a freaking newspaper. I write columns at the newspaper. But what I told you in a recent column is if you go yourself, you will see things and hear things that aren't reported. You will see things and hear things that aren't reported. So in that column, I told you about how I saw candidates greeted before this forum versus that forum. You're not going to get that from a news report.
Right.
Okay? I told you about the way that I saw one candidate look at another. That might be caught on a little 5-second clip, but if you're there in person, you can kind of linger and say, is that the way? Is that the way she's treating him? You can do that. And all of that can factor into your conversation. I went to the Urban League mayoral debate, Urban League and Partners, on earlier this week on Tuesday. And one of the more interesting things was all the candidates were up there. And with the rapid fire questions, what's happened at a number of the other debates is that there were questions and everybody said, yeah. Not then. It was like, nope. It's like, whoa, okay. So you don't agree with that. Wow, all right. So you get that. Is all of that going to be reported? No. Yeah. Is all of that going to make the minute segment on the news report if they have a minute? No. But if you are there and in person, which is why I'm so glad that you're here to talk about the Small Business Mayoral Forum with the focus on economic development, and that is today, September 11th, 6:30 p.m. So tell us about it, Jess.
Sure. So this came out of a coalition of New Orleans small business and entrepreneurial support ecosystem partners. And as we were coming earlier this year, we knew the mayoral election was coming, and we wanted to make sure that there was a voice for small business owners, and particularly Black and brown business owners here in the city to set an agenda of what they were hoping to see for the next mayor and their administration, and what their vision is to not only, elevate and expand small business development in the next 4 years, but really over the next 10, 50 in the long term. What is their vision for really elevating Black and brown businesses here in New Orleans? And so that's why this coalition came together to set this forum this evening.
So who's a part of this coalition?
Well, so there are many different organizations. The two lead organizations are Broad Community Connections and Propeller, but we're strong in many. It's everybody from groups like El Centro, who's serving Hispanic or Latin businesses, to many different business associations, Stay Local, the Louisiana Chamber Foundation, the New Orleans Black Chamber, Hispanic Chamber. So it's a wide variety.
Quite a diverse group.
Yeah, so folks, organizations that are serving different types of entrepreneurs who often get left out. So when we hear small business, there's the SBA definition, which is any employer that has at least 500 employees.
That leaves out a lot of people.
Right,
yeah.
Right. But many of the businesses that we serve, may be a sole proprietor or have an employee or two. So they matter just as much, and we just want to make sure that across our ecosystem, those small businesses and the people who support them are being prioritized.
Michelle, why are you a part of this? And just a little bit about your business. And what are you expecting to get out of this? And I think Chief Eddie has a question.
Okay, so hi, my name is Michelle Burton-Otis. I'm half of Cupcake Fairies. This December, we will be in business for 16 years. We started in 2009.
They get that big. Not only made it beyond the first year, made it beyond the 5. Woo!
Yeah, going into 16. We were only 12 when we started, right? But we're part of this because although, like, with a business, you're the commander of your ship, and you deal with all the weathers that happens, but it's the collectiveness of being part of the Bayou Road Business Association, the collectiveness of participating in Propeller's program or Broad Business Connections program lets you, like, you're not a lone ship, right? Mm-hmm. The water is vast and you may not see anyone around you, but when you connect with these businesses in community support you can see that you're not in it by yourself. So it helps. It keeps you. It gives you that push you need, and also it gives you resources that, as a small business, I can't pay for. Like Thrive NOLA purchased a year of QuickBooks for us. That's a big help for me because I can't afford that right now. Right. Most of the time, when you make a profit, you're putting it back in your business. You're not putting it back in your pocket. So those are the things and the struggles that a small business goes through. And just to have partners in this city that support you within that is a big, big help. And we have a lot of organizations in the city that support small businesses, right? I say we micro business because if small is 500.
I know.
So there's a lot in the city that supports us, but we need a little more, and we need better direction. From the city itself.
So what do you want to see come out of this forum? So the forum is tonight, 6:30. When it's over, as the owner of a small business, what do you want to have happen? You have heard what from the candidates as a small business owner?
Yeah, so I would expect candidates to have a clear plan on how they will streamline the permitting process. I was at that debate myself the other night.
The permitting
right.
came
So
up over
the
and
permitting
over
came up, and also the lack of the understaffing of a lot of departments. Right. How would they navigate through those challenges? Because I know it's budget constraints. So how would they navigate the employment in areas, in critical areas in the city, right? We're trying to employ, and the city needs employees themselves. So to find out that the Economic Development Department only has 2 people in there, that was kind of shocking for me to hear. And now, but I understand why the delay is so much, right? One of the candidates, I believe, Councilman Thomas said in reference to a performance matrix for the workers on how they would process, and that's a good plan, right? So listening to the actual plans and not the fluff, but I want the meat of the sandwich. I just don't want the bread. Give me the meat, the cheese, and the lettuce. And I want to see a clear plan on how they would support small businesses. We, as a small business, I would love to pay somebody a living wage, right? But how can I, when my rent is going up, my insurance is going up, my taxes are going up, like food costs is going up. So those kind of things we need to navigate. Maybe collective purchasing, is one avenue that we can look at, and maybe partnering with other organizations to do that. So I'm looking for a clear, definite plan.
Well, I'm sure some mayoral candidates are listening right now, or they have people listening right now, so maybe they can take some notes and be prepared for tonight. Chief Eddie.
Yeah, well, how do your organization plan to encapsulate and basically to have a tangible gauge to measure the progress and the actual programs that you're going to put in place when you're networking with each other and with whoever's going to be the potential mayor? How would you summarize that?
Yeah, so that's a great point. I mean, so much of what we have been doing is through the strength of relationships. Like our support of our entrepreneurs really has been without the full support of having a fully resourced city hall to be able to support our collaboration. So actually, this mayoral forum is just one part of a larger redevelopment of our ecosystem. As folks know, we had a big loss at the end of last year with the loss of a New Orleans Business Alliance, going out of commission. And so there's a question about who's holding all these people together. And so we took it upon ourselves, Propeller taking the lead, and so it was Broad Community Connections to say, if we're going to support our ecosystem, it's going to be led by us with the city's support, but not with the city's direction. And so what we've kind of framed the forum to be about, and really our ecosystem about, is these 6 different pillars. And the pillars are everything from procurement to place-based development, city utilities and services, and there are a few others, but really to kind of focus in on what is going to make a strong ecosystem, but also how do we use that to frame what progress looks like, both as a group, but also what we can hold the city and whoever is the mayor next accountable to.
We're it's 8:40 a.m. We're talking about the Small Business Mayoral Forum, which is tonight at 6:30 p.m., 4035 Washington Avenue. There is a request for an RSVP, and I'll let you all talk about that. But talk about what people can expect at the forum. So So let's just start with this. 6:30 p.m. Should people show up at 6:30?
Well, doors will open actually at 6 p.m. And so from 6 to 7, there'll be a networking opportunity for our ecosystem partners and our small business owners and entrepreneurs to get to know each other, though a lot of us hang out regularly. And so after that, the forum will start at 7. And so at the beginning of it, DJ and I will actually be doing some foundation setting of some data points of the current state of business development here in New Orleans to kind of set the frame again around, what is working well, where are there persistent gaps, and where this next mayor could potentially help elevate small businesses here in New Orleans. And then the forum will have, with the candidates, we'll have a number of different sections. Some of them will be questions directed particularly to certain candidates. There'll be a rapid fire section. There'll be an opportunity for audience members to have their questions answered. And also prior to tonight's forum, we sent a write-in forum to all of the candidates to provide them with the opportunity to, again, expound upon their vision of small business and economic development here in New Orleans. And so those responses from about 6 of the candidates we've already received. And so the attendees tonight will be able to review those responses ahead of time of the forum.
So which candidates have confirmed for tonight?
So for tonight, for the forum, the participating candidates will be the top 3 leading candidates based on the WWL poll. So it'll be Helena Moreno, Royce Duplessis, and Oliver Thomas. But like I mentioned, all of the candidates who qualified were invited to participate in the write-in forum ahead of time.
Okay. So this is the focus on what people now are calling the big 3 most prominent candidates. And, of course, those are the people that a lot of people want to hear from. And it doesn't mean that other candidates don't add value by running. It's just that the way the campaign has been moving, more and more people are gravitating to first 4 candidates and now 3 candidates. And so that's why you decided to focus on that for this evening. And all 3 have confirmed that they will be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And part of it was us looking at polling numbers in particular, right? Like, so we didn't want to eliminate a person because they weren't necessarily in the same area as the top 3, but our folks polling at least at 5%, right? So we've been watching.
And there's time
tracking.
constraints involved in that, so you have to be.
Because you got limited. I mean, you just named a number of different segments. In a pretty short time.
Right.
Who's going to be moderating or facilitating this?
So we have the fortune of having Gina Swanson to moderate, and
all right,
yeah,
my friend
that's
Gina,
our girl. That's our girl. She get a double dip.
Consummate professional, but really, we want to make sure that we're balancing. Obviously, there are burning questions people want to hear, and we don't want so much redundancy, but we want to give room for that. But we're trying to go deep. This is not just about a show, a performance, a viral moment. This is about making sure that we're speaking specifically to our small business community, because small business is the bedrock of our city.
Yeah.
Especially given that, New Orleans has the highest entrepreneurship rate in the country.
Yeah. So will people have, I heard you say there'll be an opportunity for audience questions. Will those questions be at a mic or a note card, or how are you going to handle that part?
So we have a digital tool to allow people to offer questions, and then what we'll do is we'll have different.
Are you guys using Slido or
Yep.
something?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we use Slido as a way to
don't worry about it.
Bring
Just
questions.
go there and you'll be able to do it.
And then in terms of Eventbrite, like we're down to the last few tickets, so go and sign up. Otherwise,
how do they do that?
So they can go to our website, tinyurl.com/NOLA Small Biz Forum. So tinyurl.com/NOLA Small Biz Forum. And if you aren't able to get a ticket, know that we'll be streaming live from YouTube. It's YouTube.com/@Broad Community Connections. And so you'll go to
Broad Community Connections.
You got to use that @ sign.
Right.
But it'll be streaming live from there. And in person, we'll have translator to make sure that there's language accessibility. All of our entrepreneurs don't speak English. So how are we making room for the diversity of different business owners that we have in the room?
Right. So for my chronologically aged colleagues, @ is not AT.
Right.
is the @ sign. So just so you know that's what you're going to need to type in to get to that live stream. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. We look forward to a great mayoral forum. There, at this point, my opinion, there can't be too many mayoral forums. Right. And if they get the same question asked over and over again, but by different people in different places, because I have been to a number, I can tell you the answers are changing. The answers are changing. The base answer may not be changing, but there's some bits and pieces. And you're not going to understand that by reading and watching the news. Right. Yeah. And I know everybody can't do what I've been doing, and I wish I had time to go to even more. Yeah. But I can tell you there are little bits and pieces of things that you're hearing at one place that you didn't hear at another place, or in answering the same question. And little things that they're introducing that is clearly like test messaging. So I want to encourage you all to go to this event tonight. Understand the focus is small business, but listen, but also watch. Watch the candidates and watch their interactions with these fine people here and the colleagues and the small business people that they interact with, because I have. And I wish I had more space to put even more stuff in. Yeah. But I'm telling you, some of y'all are going to make decisions based on what you see and not what you hear.
And can I just add one thing? When you asked me about the plan, I also would like them to incorporate all businesses of the city, because when you think of business of the city of New Orleans, we focus a lot about downtown in certain areas, but my business partners in New Orleans East, I'm on Bayou Road. How would we open the city up to everyone?
Right.
Small businesses.
All right. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We're over time for break, so I'm going to have to make sure I am asked back tomorrow. I'm going to the break. You're listening to WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
The dry streak is here. Expect sunshine today all the way through the weekend, even into early next week. Highs today stay above average into the low to mid 90s, and with lower humidity, temperatures feeling very close to the actual temperature. So still hot, but it's a dry heat. And this again continues here on out. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Hey, this is Steve Poston. Be sure to listen to WBOK 1230 a.m. every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday evening at 5 p.m. bringing you the best Southern Soul barroom music with the Southern Soul Weekend Party Mix, hosted by me, of course. I'll be playing your favorite Southern Soul music by artists from all over the South right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. or online at WBOK1230.com. The station you listen to longer. Listen to longer. Listen to longer.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit RiseSt.James.org today.
Fresh produce, local flavor, and a healthy you. New Orleans East Hospital is hosting a farmers market the last Wednesday of every month from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Join us in the parking lot across from the main entrance. Support local farmers and your wellness. We'll see you there.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call?
If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and do not have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you do not pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call. If you've been injured in an auto accident, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. You're listening to WBOK, 12:30 a.m. We've got just a few minutes more before we're gonna welcome Kimber and Graylin for the front porch coming up at 9 o'clock. You're listening to the end of the Good Morning Show on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. We would like to hear from you. You heard some really good folks talking about some interesting and concerning things. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. I am Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass. And, Chief, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. One of those things is the murder of this conservative firebrand, Charlie Kirk.
Right.
And that moved over social media yesterday like crazy. And because of the world that we live in, we didn't just hear about it. There's video from different angles of when he was shot in the neck and the blood pouring out and him falling back. And at the time, didn't know if he was going to live or die. Of course, he later died. And I don't care your political point of view. From where I stand, I don't want to see anybody killed like that over their views and their circumstance. And as much as I disagree with the President of the United States, I'm not wishing for somebody to kill him. But this is a case where, this guy has been so racist, but has built such a following that everywhere he goes, he was getting big crowds. And looks like yesterday there was at least one person in the crowd who disagreed with him and took matters into his own hands.
When I look at things like this event, I put on my police hat, and I look at it from a security standpoint. That's why you have to always do your due diligence when you're setting up these things. You can never ever be too precautionary, because you never know when an individual is going to take a shot at the person that's the target, as the main speaker. And so when you're putting protocols in place, you have to put a lot of redundancies in place. You have to make provisions for what type of crowd he's going to be. And like you said, even though he was popular among his constituency of the people that was coming to hear him, there's individuals out there who may have a different opinion. And unfortunately, they didn't use the democratic system of doing it by rebuttaling, with words. They took actions. And it's very sad, if anybody's shot, especially if somebody's killed, no matter what their political affiliation. And I know they're going to be looking at this long and hard to bring the perpetrator to justice. But, we want to pray for his family because we all are Christians. And
we're not all
Christians.
Christians,
What I'm
but
saying,
I know what you mean.
I mean, when I say we all are Christians, I'm talking about people like you and I that go to Franklin Avenue Baptist Church with Pastor Luda preaching. We all are Christians at heart, and we want the best for people no matter what their ideology.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem is people having some different views about what is Christian. And for someone like that to have views and to act in ways that, to me, are clearly unchristian.
It's not.
It's not helpful, and sorry that his life was ended. But what the impact of seeing this man shot on video, caught with different angles, and within minutes of it happening, how does that affect a police investigation? Whereas previously you wouldn't have that social media immediacy of what happened even before anybody officially announces it.
Well, one of the things about happening in real time, you were able to get the scene secured quickly. Then you have facing entry points where the individual may have come from, where the shooter may have come from, so you can preserve evidence more quickly, and then you can find out exactly who or what group might have been involved, or was it individual. So there's a lot of things that's in place by having a rapid response that you can put in place to actually solve it. These type of events, unfortunately, are more common now than ever before. And a lot of times these individuals or groups who spew this type of response to people who have different ideologies than they do, are getting more and more attention. And, that's not the solution. You don't deal with difference of opinions with violence. We have a democracy that's set up to deal with it through debate, through voting, which is the main weapon that you have. So, that's why you always emphasize the importance of voting, and that's just an example of how you're supposed to settle differences.
All right, we got a call. Papa Baptiste, good morning. We've got about 40 seconds, and then we're going to have to go. Good morning.
Blessings. Comment se va, monsieur.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Chief Compass and Mr. Sutton. Briefly, in 1971, I was almost beaten to death and my throat cut and partially and knocked unconscious by whites on the lakefront. Almost killed just because of my skin color. N-word, you don't belong out here. This belongs to us, and it's yours. Charlie Kirk was that sort of person. He wished that same sort of demise for people of color. That's what he talked about, the people he hung with. But I don't believe in, God asked me to forgive. So I had to forgive to live on without having that hate. This was before the Howard Johnson Hotel stuff on our lakefront.
Right.
So after a person that's almost being killed by white, racist, hateful people, the same people that went in Mother Emanuel Church and killed 9 people, when that happened, I wonder why God spared me to be able to talk about this now in 2025, and those other people he brought to heaven with him.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad to hear that from you. We're going to have to go. We've got to wrap up and make way for the front porch.
I'm sorry for his family. I'm praying for his family. God asked me to forgive.
And I agree with you.
Not the way to do.
I'm saying prayers for his family. He's got young kids.
Yeah.
They're going to grow up without their daddy. But
that's what happened to me.
But
I had kids too. My kids would have grew up without me.
But I hope it's time for reflection for folks with those points of view and such viciousness. We're going to wrap up the Good Morning Show now. We had heard from Sarah Lomax from WURD in Philadelphia. Dr. Emmett Chapatall, talking about flu and COVID vaccines. We heard from Jess Allen, Michelle Burton Otis, and Dejon Jordan talking about the Small Business Forum that you should look into. It is tonight, and doors open at 6. The forum is at 7. That's going to wrap it up for us. WBOK, 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long.